Hello, 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 everybody. We are back again this week, bringing something special, something so underrated and so unknown that even we forgot we watched it. Can you believe we forgot we watched this movie? Because I forgot. It was such a good film, and I completely forgot about this story, about these characters altogether. What do you say, Sank?
Yeah, a lot of people forgot about this movie. I think it's also because the director went on to make, like, after this movie, he went on a spree, not a spree, but he made a couple of movies which were like not that good. And then he realized his true potential. And then he went back to this movie genre. And that's where he found his home.
What else has this director gone on to make? Andhadhun.
So, yeah. So the director that we're talking about is Sriram Raghavan.
Yes.
He is singularly responsible for bringing in noir culture in Indian movies. Like, I think even
Yes.
I think even Hollywood stopped after the 50s, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
there were noir movies that were being made in the 70s. Like, there are some great ones like Chinatown and The Long Goodbye. So these movies, but even after some point, Hollywood realized that it cannot replicate the same charisma that the noir movies had in the 40s and 50s. So they converted their noir movies into like usual crime thrillers. So it was already when Sriram Raghavan started, it was already a very difficult thing to do for him to replicate noir culture and make it more Indian. And that's where his genre of making what a lot of people call it Marathi Manos Noir. Because most of his movies are based in Pune, except for this movie that we are talking about today, which is Johnny Gaddar. This movie is, believe it or not, has the least to do with Pune, although like one of the most crucial scenes of the movie does have Pune in it. But the reason why his movies are called Marathi Manas Noir is because a lot of people would argue about this, but Pune has, I would say, is much more rooted in Maharashtrian culture than Mumbai, because obviously, like Mumbai it is the most diverse city in the
Mumbai
country.
has everyone
Yeah,
in that city, and when we say everyone, we mean everyone. We don't just mean Indians. We mean
yeah.
anyone from the world could be in Mumbai, could have grown in Mumbai and diversified elsewhere. So yes, in a literal sense, Pune is much more rooted. Pune also has a reputation of being very laid back in its general demeanor when it comes to its roots as well. It's not very aggressive about it. It's
Mhm.
extremely relaxed about its culture and stuff like that, and to think that such a fast-paced thriller was set around the premise of Pune is like it's awesome. It's just a
Mhm.
really good film.
Yeah. And all of his movies, like I think, obviously, apart from the fact that most of his life he has lived in Pune, but the fact that you said that Pune's lifestyle is much more subtle and sober than
Hmm.
Mumbai,
Yeah.
and that sits so well with the movies that he makes, even though they are crime thrillers. Like, it gives the audience a lot of time to think about it. It sets the mood really well,
Hmm.
and that only happens when you set a movie in a city which is rooted in its culture.
Absolutely.
So,
Also, something about this director which I find particularly interesting. He's made some of like I think my favorite movie of his is Ek Hasina Thi, and he
mm,
he's done such a good job with that movie. And there's this recurring theme that you see in even in the movie that we're going to talk about today, the concept of betrayal, right? The concept of being a traitor, the concept
mm,
of breaking the breach of trust. And there is no better way to explain it other than the fact that there are there are obvious consequences to betraying someone's trust, if, especially if it was like this very respectful bond that you had with that person. But it's not as simple as that. Whenever he talks about betrayal, it's about when a person is faced with a consequence where he knows it's all hell from here, and he's going to go to hell anyway, so let me make the worst of it. And that's pretty much what the story is. Like it's let's make the worst of of our decisions, because we have nothing to lose now. And think about a story path where every decision you make leads to a worse decision, and no matter
Yeah,
what you do to clean up that mess, it's just getting more chaotic over time. And he has
it's
done that
like
so well.
it's like opening a Russian doll and at the end of it, poop comes out.
Yes, yes, yes. Shout out to Delhi
Tell
Belly.
us, tell us. Yeah, arey yaar. I wanted to say, tell us in the comments what I'm referencing.
Delhi Belly, guys, we're giving you some really hot recommendations. Andhadhun, Ek Hasina Thi, Delhi Belly. If you've not watched it, check it out. If you are an Indian audience, I would be very surprised if you've not watched Delhi Belly. But the Andhadhun was also, I think, quite popular. But Ek Hasina Thi, like this movie, was also underrated. So,
Mhm. Andhadhun is his most successful movie till
mhm,
date.
mhm.
But if you think that Andhadhun is his best movie, you haven't seen his movies.
You haven't. Andhadhun, in my opinion, is like very loophole film. Like this is an opinion. Anyone who has an issue with it can take it up with me. I completely understand if you feel a particular way about that film. But but think about the other movies that have existed. I think Badlapur and another great film, Ek
I
Hasina Thi.
think,
Um,
yeah, he also made a movie called Agent Vinod, which I haven't seen. But apparently,
there are
that's what
hits, there are hits and misses, and that's
that's
okay.
what that's what made him go back to his original genre.
It made
And
him go
that's
back to
that's
his
that's
original
how
genre, and how, right? And how. Think about the repercussions of making a movie like Agent Vinod with a very huge star, and then all these movies that we're talking about. Actually, let's go into it. Today's movie is.
Mm, I've already said it.
You said the words Johnny Gaddar and I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Uh,
I thought you just gave the plot. I didn't think you said the word Johnny Gaddar.
no, I said it. It's
I,
such an anticlimax.
I'm so sorry, but I think it's because I watched it like 20 minutes ago for the fourth time, and
Mhm.
I think I have just like succumbed to it because the entire movie also mentions it once.
Oh
He
yeah.
once. So anyone who doesn't understand Hindi, Gaddar means traitor. It
Mhm.
means a person who can betray, a person who will break your trust or whatever. And Johnny Gaddar has some film culture context where there is there's another, it's kind of like a movie within a movie, where there's another very popular Hindi movie that is playing, and the protagonist's name in that is Johnny, and he is part of like this elaborate plot that inspires our hero in some way. And the hero is played by Nitin Mukesh, and he is phenomenal considering this is his first movie.
What?
This, this
This was
was
his
his,
first movie?
this was his debut. He had not
Wow.
he had played like a child actor role in maybe a couple of other movies, but
Uh,
maybe two movies, three movies. But this was his debut, and to now the reason this is very ballsy, in my opinion, is because whenever an Indian actor debuts, at least up until I want to say current generation, right? They debut in something which is like really cutesy and romantic and larger than life, perhaps, or just in general, it's it's the general genres that people will definitely flock to the theaters to watch. And he debuted in a movie which was extremely niche. Like there was no reason for him to do this movie other than the fact that it was just a really ballsy move. um
yeah.
the the actors around him were also like all theater actors who are like very renowned, but people don't flock to theaters to go watch them. So except for one very great Mr. Dharmendra, but Dharmendra in his heydays versus Dharmendra when as he's aging, people weren't flocking to theaters the same way. So the fact that this movie exists at all is very ballsy. And the fact that it exists in a time when people were not, really into, like you said, noir movies, just to make something for the love of cinema and for the love of that kind of genre, and to get these really good actors in it, and create like such a unique universe of its own, where you feel very conflicted as an audience, in the sense like you are rooting for the hero, but you're also willing to sacrifice him for the sake of the story.
Yeah, yeah. Proper example, like a proper example of an anti-hero, right? Like
Yes,
someone who you are rooting for, but you also want them dead.
yes, yes, absolutely.
But
And
what, yeah, even I think that was a ballsy move because
yeah,
he gets beaten up by so many people in this movie.
yes,
Tell me any other actor who would want to debut like this, at least in Hindi cinema.
no, never. And also, you know, uh, actors, the protagonists in Indian cinema in the year, when did this come out?
2006, 7, 7, I guess.
2000, 2006, 2007 is also the Jab We Met era, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
around those years. So imagine this whole, set of heroes where they have one love interest, and their life is dedicated to making, their life with this wonderful woman, and to kind of beautify and in many ways add a kind of aesthetic which is like, all's well that ends well kind of aesthetic to cinema, which is very, very common in Indian storytelling. And this in many ways was like a big nope, we are not going to do that. And we are
Mhm.
just gonna like completely stray from the path. And there's this amazing scene, which is, I have two favorite scenes in this movie. One is where um so Johnny Gadar, or his name is Vikram, and his alias is Johnny Gadar, or
Mhm.
Johnny G. And he has this he has an idea where he decides that he's going to betray his partner. So his partners have some business deal going down, and there's a bunch of money involved, which he decides to keep for himself, all of it. So there are what four partners in all, and he wants to
5 including him, right? No.
five,
Yeah, 5 including him.
yeah, five including him, because yeah, you're right, five including him. So there are five partners in all, and he basically is in love with one of his partner's wives. And that is, for me, that was like, oh, oh. When you see that scene come in, where you put two and two together, finally he's like, oh my god, that's not just his girlfriend, that's why he's meeting her in a seedy motel. Because what boyfriend, and what Indian movie shows, like a girl and a boy meeting in a seedy motel, and they're the central characters as well. And they are really, like in a very dark place, and it's just overall upsetting. And then when you put two and two together and you realize why that is happening, you say, oh my god, he's dating one of his partner's wives. So we are establishing very early on that he's a traitor. And he's not just a traitor to people, he's also a traitor to himself. So when he is on this crossroads where he's like, I'm going to go through with this plan of, betraying my partners and stealing their money from them, he is at a crossroads, quite literally. He can either go to Pune and go through with his plan, or he can go to Goa and just leave the thought altogether. And he kind of keeps flipping this coin. So he flips a coin and he's like, heads, I'll go ahead, tails, I won't. And he gets tails, and he says, best of three. And he loses again. And he's a best of five. And in the best of five, he finally wins. And he's like, yup, I'm going to go through with this. In spite of that, he meets with an accident immediately. In the next 5 seconds, after like not listening to the signs from the universe, or whatever was telling him to not go through with the plan, he meets with an accident, and he has another opportunity to not go to Pune, and he still goes ahead. And I love that when you want something so bad, you ignore the signs and you betray yourself. And I have done this millions of times to myself, where I'm like, if I can, you know, jump from this tile to that tile, and I do that sometimes in a mall. Like, I am, going to do what I was set out to do. And generally it's a bad idea, which is why I'm putting, like, weird tasks in the way to get signs from the universe. And the fact that they have shown that, and given us a complete setup of a premise that there were signs, the story should have never even begun. Like, there is
Hmm.
a universe where the story should have never ever begun. And if you watched stuff like Bandersnatch, which has like multiple journey kind of, question marks and stories like that, you will really like this movie, because this is the story of what if I took the worst decisions, what would be the story then? And that's basically what this movie is.
So worst decision in the sense that it's not like in horror movies when the protagonist is making bad decisions and getting caught or anything like that, right? Like we blame the protagonist for being so idiot, so foolish about it. Like, why are you going there? Don't go there. The killer's there. It's not like that. Like we actually understand why he's making those decisions. Every
Yes.
time that he's making these decisions,
Yes.
there is a reason why he does that. So the coin flipping scene that you mentioned, no, that is again a classic trope of an anti-hero, right? Like, because it's not about going to Canada, it's not about fleeing to Canada with the girlfriend. He does it because he wants to get rich. That's all.
Yeah, it's greed.
Like it was that simple for him.
Mhm. It's just
Obviously,
greed.
he didn't think that uh, things would take a bad turn like that, but he wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
He didn't do it for anything. He just wanted to do it because he enjoyed doing it.
I love that very early on they show us, like, I don't know if you were in part of an Indian audience, like I was, like Sank is. Suri in 2007 went with her parents, and this is the point in the theater where you kind of start looking around to see who's leaving, because like there's no song, there's no item number, there's the commercial tropes that were generally used to keep audiences engaged. It's not happened. And they
Hmm.
give like a sliver of a very popular song which was performed by a very beloved rapper of mine, and Sanks as well, hardcore, and Shankar Ehsaan Loy just like completely losing their complete marbles and making such a wonderful song. Because this is, imagine creating a song which explains the premise of the movie completely, like, because again that wasn't a thing for a while. It did exist in very old Indian cinema, and then it kind of like trickled off somewhere in the 2000s, where a song was there because it sounded good, or it was just a good distraction and stuff like that, but it was not necessarily you know helping the plot in any way. And this song was like perfect, and they just keep like a sliver of the song, and they play it in the end credits, I think, but they don't actually play the song. Imagine doing this in 2007. No item number, no uh, like sexy dance to like allure the audience in any way, nothing. There is just snippets of information coming at us that has got us to the theater, and you start looking around to see who's going to get up and leave, because this is the point where I think the director is like, either you're going to sit through this movie and you're going to love it, or you're absolutely going to like ignore what I'm trying to do. And he had a decision at that point of time to put in that number, because they kept showing us snips of like them in a club, them in a bar, them at a gambling station, where they could have had those songs in, but they chose not to not to do that and just focus on the story completely, which is just, it's a complete genius. Like, the movie is such a genius, and it's so sad that it did not get its due credit when it should have. And I'm so happy that we're talking about it today.
Yeah. And that shows, like, when you make a movie like this, that shows how much you care for the genre. Like Sriram Raghavan like he's always been talking about it in interviews, how big a fan he is of noir movies and crime thriller novels. And he has referenced so many movies in this movie.
Yes.
Like there are so many Easter eggs in this movie. One is obviously the name Johnny Gadar, which comes from a Devanand movie. Is
Yes.
it Johnny Minanam?
uh yeah, I
I
think so.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Is that there's obviously the protagonist being influenced by an Amitabh Bachchan movie. There are so many references. Like Shiva, one of the partners, he's watching Eyes Wide Shut when he's being
Yeah.
he's watching Eyes Wide Shut on the television, and he's saying, My mom's in the hospital. I can't do all this right now."
Like a really sexy scene too. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't answer this call. I get scared when people call me. So like,
There are so many references. I forget about all of that now.
also like a
But
lot of references in the novels. They have a
yeah,
bunch of novels as well that are like thriller novels, um and very very like, comfortable Easter eggs where before the first murder happens, someone is reading a book and it's highlighted on the line said, "Murdered? What do you mean she was murdered?"
yeah.
And, and just like little classy details which were very new at that point of time. I think one other time I have seen that in Hindi cinema was Achanak, um, with Vinod Khanna several years ago, and it was a fantastic movie. And it had like a similar thing where you set up that it's all hell is going to break loose, so enjoy the ride. But let me also let me over explain it a little bit so that you know that I have no intention of making you comfortable while watching this movie.
Mhm. And this movie is also doing so many things at once, right? And it never feels populated.
Yeah.
Like that's the one reason that I would take as an advantage for this movie over Andhadhun, is that Andhadhun is also doing a lot of things, but at some point it feels pushed. Here it doesn't. Like even the side stories of, the thing that the cop and what he does to the
The
nurse,
nurse. Yeah.
at one point it does feel like, where is this movie going? But after that it actually makes sense, and
Yeah.
that is how you make a perfect thriller. Like you it has to come together in the end.
Absolutely.
You've seen that
Absolutely.
in so many crime thrillers, like even like Knives Out or something. Oh, one thing that the relationship reminded me
Whose
of
relationship?
Vikram and his partner's girlfriend, it reminded me of Blood Simple. Like obviously
Ah,
when I saw Johnny Gadar, I hadn't seen Blood Simple, but when I watch Johnny Gadar now, it reminds me so much of Blood Simple. So much of the tone and everything is Blood Simple.
oh, absolutely. And also, there's no misdirect. Like Blood Simple had never had any misdirection. Neither does Johnny Gadar. Like no misdirection. It's not like, oh, I put your attention over there, but actually something else was going on in the background. No, it's
Yeah.
just it's just straightforward. Like look at what is happening. I will tell you exactly what is happening, and you will still be mesmerized and surprised. And at the end of the story, you will still not see the plot twist coming. And
Yes.
that's like, ugh, it's so good. And remember how
That
he dedicated the movie to Vijay Anand and James Hadley Chase in the beginning. um he calls them the thriller maestros, and
No, I didn't catch it. I
he
know
does
that
a,
he has done that, but I don't
yeah,
know where.
right in the beginning he's like dedicated to, and he puts their pictures
Oh,
and then
like that.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is what a good crime thriller is, right? Like when you say, "Oh my God, how is this different from any other crime thriller?" Like he's just replicating the genres in the 40s, 50s that
Hmm.
Hollywood has. But then if he was actually replicating it, it would have been more predictable, right? Nothing in this movie is predictable. It keeps you on the edge of your seat every single minute, but I could not guess where it was going at any point.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is so much in the movie about, like, he keeps his themes very consistent. This couple of movies, I think in the last couple of years, perhaps the last 5 years, another movie that I saw consistency in theme was Bullet Train, where they talk about luck, and they talk
Hmm.
about the concept of like fate, and how that plays in when a person is doing a bad thing, and how that revolutionizes their thought process in a way which makes them believe that they're doing the right thing. Like they trick themselves into going like, I'm on the right path, even though everybody else knows it's terrible. It's a terrible idea. but fate kind of, the way it intervenes for them, that makes them think they're doing the right thing. Like there's another really brilliant scene where um uh the man who plays Prakash, he's what's
Vinay
what
Pathak.
Vinay
So
Pathak.
he's my scene stealer.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
he's just, like, he's chef's kiss, because he does
Yeah,
this,
I want to talk about him way more.
right, because he's just
You go ahead.
perfect
You
in
go
this
ahead.
movie.
No, no, you.
You know what I want to talk? I'm going to talk about the card scene where he's like,
Yes.
somebody has screwed him over, or probably, perhaps stolen money or something. There are three men who have been brought into Vinay Pathak's office, and he's just, dealing in cards. And he starts like playing cards, and he goes, okay, you pick a card, and then he says, I'll let you go if you pick one card between, these 10 cards, or these 9 cards. So he picks an ace, and he picks a 10 or something like that. So it's a very easy thing. He should be able to get something within those, unless the odds are truly against him. And the guy ends up picking a card higher than 10. He picks a jack or something. And and he's like, what are you doing, what are you doing? And he kind of, points at a board, and he goes, management is liable to change the rules as and when required. Like house rules, and pretty much like all the tropes that are involved with gambling, and people who are authorities in gambling sector, they've thrown that in like 15 seconds. And then he brings in the next guy, and he goes, okay, if you pick a card between 3 and 4, I'll between 2 and 4, I'll let you go. And he picks 2. So basically, he kind of, like, looks at him, and he smiles, and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna change the rules again. And he's like, I'm gonna kill you anyway. And instead he says, okay, fine, go and put him at that table in that store where we have whatever. And his henchman goes, are you sure we just let him go? It's like, I don't like to mess with people when, God is on their side. I love that dialogue so much. It's so much better in Hindi. But what was it? उसके साथ उंगली नहीं करने का.
हाँ,
जो
भगवान का जिस पे हाथ हो उस पे उंगली नहीं करने का.
उसके साथ उंगली नहीं, which if you translate that quite literally, it means if he has the hand of God on his side, you should not finger him. Which is, if you like, that's not what it means, but that is a literal translation. And I love that there is a sense to the dialogues as well, where it makes sense to people who are locals, and the translations are like quite good. So if you don't know Hindi, don't worry, it's not bad at all. They've done like really slick work with the translations. I think it's on Amazon and Hulu. But yeah, definitely not used my term.
Except the translation of the title,
Which is,
because when it happens, like we find out why the movie is called Johnny G, right? Johnny Gadar.
yes,
Because he
yes,
goes to the hotel and Devanand's Johnny Mera Naam is playing.
yeah,
So the receptionist asks him what's his name. So he
uh-huh,
has to give an alias, right? So he
yeah,
gives Johnny,
hmm,
and he asks him about his surname in Marathi. Says
yeah,
Adnav,
uh-huh,
and he doesn't understand. So when you don't understand something in Hindi, you said G, as in like pardon.
yeah,
And so the receptionist thinks that his surname is G.
G.
Yeah, and that's how he puts it. So it'll get like the G part will get lost in translation.
Yeah, proper lost in translation. And I mean, the thing about Johnny Gaddar's title is also, again, you if you really truly love cinema, you will take your time with this movie. Like, if there's a reference you don't understand, go look it up. The smallest thing. We are officially in the age where we can stream online, and we can pause and stuff. So pause and look it up, and get more joy out of it, more joy of this movie.
This movie came out in what, 15 years ago, something,
Yeah,
and it has aged well.
very well.
Which, yes, what does it tell us, Surbi? It tells us that it's not the age, it's the mileage.
Mileage, yes, the king of dialogues.
Oh, that's a CT1 moment, like whistles throughout.
whistled down
throughout
her,
the theater.
like, ooh, such a
Like,
good, and also coming from our Dharampaji, which
yes.
if now if I translate like terribly, you will still like it, Dharam Daddy. Okay. he he is he's a force to reckon with, because this is a superstar. Okay, Dharmendra is a superstar, so for him
Okay.
to do this role is highly experimental. He doesn't do
Mhm.
dark cinema like this. He's like very, he's very sexy, burly, and muscly, and romantic. And my grandma had a crush on him, and she used to like stalk him because he lived one street over from where she used to live. So he was very sexy, and he still is very sexy. And for him to do this role
You
is
know,
just
so recently documentary, the Yash Raj documentary Romantics came out, right? So Yash Chopra had reached out to, I think, Sunny Deol for the villain part in Dar, which eventually went to Shah Rukh Khan or something like that. I think I'm watching the details, but it was something about the negative character where the villain dies in the end or something like that. I don't know if it was Dar or whatever. And Sunny Deol says that no, I will not do that role because Deols don't die in movies. And then I realized that they actually don't.
yeah,
So the fact that Dharmendra did this movie, and spoiler alert, he dies
yeah,
sometime in the middle of the movie,
yeah.
like that is a big thing. That
It's a very big
is
deal.
that is a superstar considering a character role.
Totally. I mean, the man comes to India to meet his beloved in Metro, and he comes back to her because he's dying, and he still doesn't die there. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that is some of his most iconic movies. Sholay also, again, he's in a situation where he could have died, but luck and friendship and love is on his side, so he doesn't die. So yeah, that is very culturally symbolic to anyone who understands Dharmendra's power on screen. And he has,
Mhm.
I think he showed up for all of 15 minutes in the movie, and he has done
Yeah,
such a
he has limited scenes, but oh my God, like when he starts talking, you understand why he's sort of like the patriarch of the group. Like
yeah.
you understand why he's the authority. He is not just the most experienced, but also like the reason why they respect him is because he's so level-headed. Like they know that whatever that he's planning,
Mhm.
it will help them in the future.
Yes.
He is
And
like that.
he is that way, and he's also, again, he's also like bound by circumstances and supernatural stuff. Like he believes that, like, because his late wife tells him that if you sneeze before a work or a job that is to be done, then the job goes awry, the job goes wrong.
Hmm.
And
I didn't
he
know my
he
mom acted in the movie.
oh my gosh, is that a thing? i never
Yeah, yeah,
I never knew that was a thing. I
yeah, yeah,
never knew that was a superstition till this movie.
yeah.
Wow.
That and you should not have, I think, water after eating a fruit or something. Never understood. When I ask her about it, she tells we should not question. That's what my that's what our grandparents told our parents, and that's what's being passed on.
The sneeze thing makes sense to me, because I guess because it comes from a time when people didn't have, like, any medicine for like cold and stuff like that. So if you sneeze, you're
Ah,
probably going to fall sick. So that makes some sense to me. But not drinking water after a meal, I have heard, but after a fruit, I've never heard. So again, see, there is
yeah, yeah,
there's some stuff in there which even we don't understand, but it's kind of been left like that, kind of vague and ominous, and
yeah.
but it's there.
But the main thing is questioning is wrong.
Yes, don't question the fate.
Yes.
and, and I really enjoy the setup of Dharmendra, and how he's like missing his wife, and he plays her he plays her
Ah,
singing to him. That is so sweet, and
such a great scene,
so
and he
so well.
shines that in that scene.
He's really good at playing the person who's like madly in love. Like he and they have given him that. So, you know what, sir, you're really good at that. Like, even though you're showing that you're in love with like a old tape recorder, that's okay. But but like have please have that screen time, and please do your magic. And he does it really well. I really like the scene where so basically Neil Nitin is sitting in the room with his partners, and Rimi Sen walks in. She's playing his love interest, and Dharmendra asks her, how are your classes going and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, that's all good. And later on, when he's in the car with Neil Nitin, he's like, so how long have you been with her? And and he goes, I don't know what you're talking. He immediately lies. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, it's okay. I know. How long have you been with her? And there is a kind of I think it's kind of like a foreshadowing, because he says, if her husband finds out, you're a dead man. And he's not saying that I'll rat you out. He's saying this is clearly a bad idea, whatever you're doing. And he will definitely kill you if her husband finds out. So, and he's like, but we're really in love with each other. And all he says is, fine, I'll pray for you. And the you know the sentiment of a person who has seen it all and been through all of it, and he knows that this is not going to end well one way or the other,
Mhm.
that shows in like in three lines. He says, fine, I'll pray for you. And it's so simple and so subtle, and you even see his introduction to the protagonist or the antagonist of the movie, and you see him kind of saying, hey, you have better opportunities, better things. You're so young. Why don't you do something else? Don't get into this life of crime. And the guy obviously
Hmm.
wants quick money. And he says, fine, possibly this is in your fate too. And it's just, he resigns. He doesn't try to give knowledge. He resigns. He's like, you're a young man. You have to make your mistakes. That's fine. And I love that they've given those details.
His death is the most that I was affected in the movie. I didn't care about the other characters,
You didn't care
but
when
yeah,
Prakash died.
uh,
Oh, come on, you did.
yeah, but Prakash had it coming because two two things he did. First is he obviously dealt in counterfeit notes or something, and he was the first guy to dupe the group, and then he lost the money again when he was gambling with that guy.
I know that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it was coming for him. But yeah, Vinay Pathak for me is the scene stealer. I have always admired Vinay Pathak, like right from the days when he used to be on TV with Ranveer Shore, and in during the mid 2000s, like they had a lot of roles where they were supporting, they were always the sidekicks, but there was a phase that came in the late 2000s where they made movies for themselves where they were the leads, and those movies I admire. I adore those movies. There was Dasvidanya,
Hmm.
there was Mithya that Ranveer Shore was in, there was Beja Fry.
Yep.
Like Vinay Pathak and Ranveer Shore, they were killing it in every movie, and they still haven't gotten their credit. They still are playing like roles which are amazing. They are
Yes.
still on top of their game. They might not get as many roles today, but I would give my left limb to watch them on screen. And even in this, like I think my favorite
Also,
scenes.
remember Made in Heaven? He did a great job in Made in Heaven.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he's playing the politician, right?
in Made in Heaven, he plays the landlord.
Vinay Pathak.
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember. Where
Okay.
is he playing a
I'm
politician?
talking. I'm talking about the show, the Amazon show.
Oh, sorry, I confused his role in the Suitable Boy adaptation that Netflix made.
No, no, no. In Made in Heaven, again, great show,
Uh,
guys. If you haven't checked it out, it's on Amazon Prime, waiting for you and to blow your mind. It's such a good show. He plays a
yes, yes.
closeted homosexual man in that, and he's just he's just a supreme institution in acting. He has done such a good job of that, because generally when they show, especially in Indian movies, when they show that, they show like like much younger people who are like discovering themselves and coming of age type of roles. But he played a person who's married with a child, who's middle aged and has a secret. And he's done such a stellar job. And you will not believe, when you watch Johnny Gadar and you watch that movie, it's the same. That show is the same man. He's a
Yeah.
comedian. Like, he's so good at his job.
My favorite scenes of his is when he gets into fights with Shardul.
Yeah,
Like Shardul is this character
yeah.
who is the least affected about losing the money because he's already rich.
He's
But his problem is that he always shows it to Ranveer Shori's character. Sorry, to Vinay
Vinay
Pathak's
Pathak's
character.
character. Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't give a chance. He's always showing how rich he is, and he always makes him feel less. And that's what riles Prakash up every time.
Yeah,
And you see that it is established very early on in the movie, but then in the climax, you understand why that was also important.
absolutely.
Like the
And
fact that he suspects Shardul stealing the money and not
yeah,
our
yeah,
protagonist, and that has a reason. Like,
yeah. Like why does it trickle down that way as well? Because if you think about it, Prakash is the most adorable of them, but he's also the worst of them because he not
yeah,
only gives them counterfeit notes, one, for a very important deal that could have gone sideways had the people who were supposed to get it, actually, if had they gotten the money, it would have gone horribly wrong had they found like fake notes in there. But he also screws over his sweet wife, and
yes,
she has done nothing wrong. All she says is, do not give away my store. And she has a beauty parlor, and she takes a lot of pride in it. And she's also shown, as a boss, in like a quick minute or so. She's shown as a boss whose employees like her, because they're like, I think they're cutting birthday cake somewhere, and they are like yelling at her to come join them. It's like a quick 10 seconds. It's a blink and miss detail, but it's there. So she really likes her job. She really likes that she has set up her own business, and she doesn't like that he deals in a gambling, whatever. She doesn't like that he doesn't ask her before even pawning away her store. There is something about Prakash's character which is like literally threefold. He betrays his wife, he betrays his partners, and ultimately he betrays himself because he does something so stupid. and, and it was a completely avoidable thing. I mean, if you
I
think
think
about yeah,
I think like they have such a sweet relationship, right? Prakash and his wife. And I think the reason why he has this vice is because she is the one who's running the
running the show.
family.
Yeah,
Yeah. And through gambling, through everything, through gambling and whatever that he does,
yeah,
uh, I think that's the only time where he feels powerful.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's why he does it.
That's the only reason, right? Because remember how Remy Sen's husband, or Shardul, he kind of gives her an ultimatum, say either down this drink or press my feet and massage my feet. And you see, cut to scene where somebody's
Yes.
feet are like getting a massage, but it's like a woman's foot, and I'm like, wait, what? And you see, Vinay Pathak kind of massaging his wife's feet. And
Yeah.
she's like, do whatever you want. You're not selling my store.
Like that's the only
So
vice that he
cute.
has.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
Other than
not a
that,
bad
he's
person.
yeah, they have a very good relationship.
Yeah.
That again, like, goes from being a side story to being the most crucial thing in the end, which I
Absolutely.
don't think we should get into.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that becomes a very crucial thing by the end of the movie.
We have to kind of, I don't know, as a um even as an audience, understand that they got a group of really good actors to do their job. I think the weakest actor amongst them was Neil Nitin Mukesh, because it was his debut. And I mean, I adore him for taking this risk with his debut movie, but he was obviously the weakest of the actors, because he just came into the industry, and the others have probably been doing that, since there are actors who learn how to be on screen ever since their conception. He was against those actors. and
Mhm.
and even the side actors have been in the movie industry for a long time.
And Sriram Raghavan has done that in Badlapur as well. Remember, like Varun Dhawan, when he casted him, he he wasn't known for his acting,
Yeah,
and he was put in the scene with the greats like Nawazuddin, Divya Datta,
yeah,
Kumud Mishra.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think he has a knack for that, Sriram Raghavan.
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
go ahead.
And I mean, for him to be Ashwini Kalsekar has been doing this for a while. Like she's been there, in all of these movies where she plays like a very small role, but she steals the show, and she's been there for a while in this industry, and
Hmm.
to for him for him to kind of uh, I don't know, kind of be pitted against that. It comes through very quickly that he's not exactly, he's not a veteran. He's very brand new into this, and the person who plays, I don't know what her real name is, but Vaijayanti, the person who plays the
The nurse,
nurse,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
she has a very interesting story. So she's basically this person who took up every role that came her way, and she was going through chemo during uh, shooting that movie and shooting several other movies where she took up small roles, and she did
Oh.
the roles to basically pay for her medical expenses and stuff like that. And she was very very talented person. She wrote scripts, and she succumbed to her illness eventually, but imagine being surrounded by that kind of energy where people are like literally going through like life threatening diseases and terminal diseases, and still so passionate about cinema and movie making that they're in there making a movie for the love of cinema, no matter the cost, no matter the impact it has on them, because none of these people are superstars in the
Mhm.
movie, including Neil Nitin Mukesh. He's not a superstar. He's a very good actor, very good looking man. But this movie was made, you know, to surprise and shock us. And they did that successfully throughout. Like I really adored that they took that into consideration when they were casting these people. Because generally when you see like slick cinema, you'll see like very swagger filled people, like, assign these roles, which are very it's a bit awkward to see them in that. And the director didn't do that. He's like, I'm going to show a bunch of people who look a bit shady, and you're right to think they're shady because they are shady. and
Mhm.
he has kept the simplicity of the actors, and I really enjoy that, that this exists in Indian cinema, because a lot of people don't realize when they tell us like, oh, can you recommend something in Indian movies, and we're like, what do you want to watch? Like, because we have everything, and this movie is like a prime example of that. Like, would you watch something like this if it was, made in Hindi? Because it exists, it's there in our universe, but no one knows about it. So,
Yep. Edge of the seat thriller. Like, if you
absolutely.
want, that's the biggest thing that we can say about this movie. Like, if you want to watch a thriller and not think about anything else for the next 2 hours, this is the movie that you should go for.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm really, really, really excited for people to like go right now and go listen to the song and get pumped up for the movie.
Yes, move your body.
Move your body, and immediately check out Hardcore and Shankar Ehsaan Loy creating magic, basically, because we have not, for our generation, there were like a bunch of stuff that was happening in rap, but it wasn't necessarily put to us in a way that made sense to us, till um, it sometimes there is rap in certain cultures that feels like it is trying to take from the legends of rap, and then a new genre of rap started coming in and said, I really like rap music, but I'm going to do it in a way that makes sense to me and my culture and my local roots, and this is like a very big part of that. So a lot of people say that, oh my gosh, if you want to listen to good Indian rap, start with Bluff Master and the song that Abhishek Bachchan did in Bluff Master, another really really smart film. And there's a song called Ek Main or Ek Tu Hai, and really really great song. But if you listen to Johnny Gaddar's track and you listen to Move Your Body, there are these lyrics that are like literally talking about sabse bada rupaya, like meaning the greatest, the king is money, and that's the theme of the story. So pump yourself up, move your body, listen to the song, go back, finish the movie, and then come back and tell us what you think about it.
Yes. Also watch rest of the videos, which are also edge of the seat, I would say, same genre as
Yes,
Johnny Gadar.
yes. There is a really good movie recommendation that was done last week. Do check that out. It is a very
No, no,
unexpected.
no. We did. When this will come out, it will be the show recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the week before, we have done something about Ted Lasso, and if you like Ted Lasso, check that out and let us know what you think about it. And oh my God, we are ahead. We have not been ahead of schedule ever, and this is a big milestone. This is a big milestone for me.
Well, he was also not ahead, and look what happened to Johnny Gaddar.
Very true. Very, very true. So check out. We've done a recap on Ted Lasso. We're waiting for the premiere, and we'll be doing reviewing the premiere as well next week. So check out the space for that. There is a great movie. Sang's done a really, really good job with the review. It's called One Cut of the Dead. It's a really I watched it finally.
Hmm.
Yes, and
Good.
check
So
out the
one,
review, guys.
at
Yeah,
least one person got influenced by the review and watched the movie. More people should watch One Cut of the Dead.
yes, yes. It's a really, really good movie. If you want to ease into it, because it looks different, do check out the review. It is. It's just really well made cinema, and the review kind of focuses on the quirky bits of it and why it is so offbeat, considering it is in such a worn out genre, zombies. But
Yep.
it's so surprising, this movie. Do check it out. Do check out a review on it. This is Suri and Sang saying we love you a lot. Please like, share, and subscribe a lot. We are getting like really good responses in terms of like views and likes. If you start giving us comments, we will get better direction, because we are a very new channel. We don't really have a format as of now. We don't really understand what is working. We are just hoping that whoever is listening to us out there wants to have a little chat with us in the comments. So please let us know what do you think, and please be kind. We are so we are so new to this. You have no idea. We have been talking about doing this channel for years, and we finally got the guts and the time and the energy to do it. And and to have anybody listening to us is such a it makes us feel so happy and fuzzy inside. So please leave comments, like, share, and subscribe. Everything you tell us, we are observing. So do know that we are so new that we actually go through everything, and we comb through it, and we overanalyze it, and we have sleepless nights over it. So even if this is just a silly podcast or silly movie podcast to you, leave us a silly comment, no matter how goofy it is. Just let us know what you're thinking, and just watch the space for more awesome content. And we'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.